Let's look at just a couple of passages from the Genesis Effect by Dr. John W. Apsley the Second, Spearheading Regeneration with Wild Blue-Green Algae. So here on page 68, it says here that the bankruptcy of America's soil is responsible for most of our ill health. That's something that we've gone over extensively here on the Sacred Serpent YouTube channel. So looking into this is really important. The bankruptcy of America's soil. The soils are abused, overused, and mistreated. They are absolutely in a state of disharmony. The soils, ladies and gentlemen, are mineral deficient, nutrient deficient, you name it, they're overused, and because of that, the plants that are grown in those soils become deficient by default. A plant is only as healthy as the soil that it's grown in, the water that it's fed, and the air that it breathes. So the soils are deficient. The water that most plants are fed is filled full of fluoride and chlorine, you name it. Monocropped agriculture and soybeans, all of the mass-produced fruit in the vegetation, it's fed garbage water. It's grown in nutritionally bankrupt soil. And on top of that, our skies are incredibly dirty with all of the stratospheric aerosol injection residues, the aluminum, the barium, the strontium, the mylar fiber, the chaff, the radioactive isotopes, the compounds, the metallic compounds, the scalar waves, the smart dust. So our plants are indeed deficient, which is why I've always put a huge emphasis on you growing your own food so that you can regulate the quality of soil that they're grown in, or your fruits, your vegetables, whatever it is you're growing. You can also regulate the soil, the water, and the air. So a cheap way for anyone to start doing this, if they don't have a bunch of money to start a huge garden, is to take like $20 to $100 and just buy a cheap sprouting garden for their kitchen or their home, wherever you want to keep it. Sprouts pretty much can thrive in indirect light, and you can get really creative. Again, I could teach you how to start a sprouting garden for under $25. You can go to the like bargain stores and get large mason jars, or you can go to Goodwill stores and get large mason jars for like $1. And then you just need some type of screen that you can put on top of your jars, and then you buy your organic sprouts. You soak them usually for about 16 to 24 hours. You rinse them, and then you let them drain. And then once or twice a day, you rinse them with water. And within about a week, you have not only raw foods, but you have living foods. Living foods are foods that are still growing while you consume them. Living foods are better than raw foods. Most of the raw foods people consume, the fruits, the vegetables, you name it, from the store, they're usually a week or more old by the time you get it. Enzyme deficient, their minerals have been, their mineral content has been diminished, you name it. Living foods are much better. So take that into consideration. You can regulate the quality of water that you feed your sprouts. And I have here just some basic Shungite water. Luna, are you thirsty? I'll give you some water in a few. Luna gets Shungite water. I don't know if you can tell, but that water looks real clear. Shungite purifies water. It restructures water based on its fullerene compounds. Shungite is a precious mineral. It's my favorite. So, you want to do a little bit of transformation. Luna Bug, I'll give you water in a minute. Do a 60-day Shungite cleanse. Take 1 cup of Shungite water a day. You're probably going to feel better. So, again, guys, let me just hook Luna up. She's not very good around other people with their dogs. It looks like these people have dogs that are coming close to us. Luna Bug. So, again, it says here as well, nearly all Americans are ill. See number 2? Nearly all Americans are ill. We've talked about how in 1976 the U.S. Public Health Department said that only 1.5% of all Americans were actually healthy. Again, we've talked about that in the past. And that statistic is actually in this book somewhere. I'm trying to find it. Bear with me 1 second, guys. I covered it in a recent video, so I won't go over it. But it said that in 1976, the U.S. Public Health Department said that only 1.5% of all Americans were actually healthy. Now we're here in 2021, and if you think that we're a healthier, species, you're out of your damn mind. No offense. There is more sickness now than there ever was, and it's only going to intensify as we continue to equip our homes with artificial lighting, weaponized blue lighting from the smart home, television garbage, and all the bullshit. All the smart devices that emanate electromagnetics and wireless pollution and EMF. I mean, Jesus Christ, the televisions put off so much blue light now that it's not going to be good, ladies and gentlemen. If we look at the health statistics from when the light bulb became cheap enough to put in most of the houses across the United States, as we started putting lighting in people's homes, the health statistics went down. It's because we stopped sleeping for over 8.5 hours a night. We stayed up longer, which caused our circadian rhythm to go out of alignment, which damages our hormones, our neurotransmitters, our melatonin, our prolactin. It harms our pineal gland because of the pineal gland's connection to melatonin, and melatonin secretion happens in the absence of light. There's a lot more that can be said about that, and it's a complicated process, but for time's sake, nowadays, I'll just keep things simple and we'll move on. The lighting systems are 10,000-fold more dangerous than they were when the light bulb became cost-effective enough to be mass-produced so that they could be in homes for a cheap price. Original lighting was incredibly expensive. Once it became cheap enough to put in people's homes on a mass level, the health statistics went down drastically, because rest, regardless of what this insane world tries to tell you with all their stimulation and stay up late garbage, rest is crucial. But you can't really rest well if you're around blue light when the sun goes down, because it tricks your brain into thinking it's the wrong time of day, and it causes your brain to not secrete melatonin via the pineal pathway. And this is how people's spiritual centers have been fist-fucked into submission. Blue light. So 1.5% of all Americans were deemed healthy by the U.S. Public Health Department in 1976. We're now here in 2021. And the average person looks like a walking dead zombie. No offense. So I also wanted to just go over this one more time. This is on page 41. Stomach lining replaces itself once per hour. Intestinal lining replaces itself every 4 days. Heart tissue replaces itself once every 92 days. Blood replaces itself once every 120 days. Most organs replace their inherent tissues once every 5 to 6 months. Bone replaces its cells once every 3.5 years. In conclusion, ladies and gentlemen, if we are diligent and persistent, we might actually achieve total body renewal within this 3.5 year time frame. This is why we have to constantly stay vigilant with our health. This is why we constantly need to put the best quality constituents into our systems and reject, to the best of our ability, the garbage. What you eat is literally fueling the changes taking place in your body. You are like a snake shedding its skin constantly. You just don't know that because you forgot that your body's cells and tissues are constantly regenerating, predicated upon the quality or lack thereof of the food and fluids you put into your system. And on top of that, what about the lighting and the electromagnetics? You got to snap out of your fucking trance. In 3.5 years, you can rebuild yourself. I want you to look into the research. Let me see if I can find it in here really quickly, guys. Alexis Carrel in The Immortal Chicken Heart. You need to look that up, but check this out. Chapter 1, look at this quote. The human body has one ability not possessed by any machine, the ability to repair itself. To some extent, computers can do that, but when it comes to the hardware, not so much. Again, look at this. This was George E. Kriley, Jr., MD, who said this. The human body has one ability not possessed by any machine, the ability to repair itself. Do you have any clue how incredible that is? I could sit and think about that passage all day and be completely content. Seriously. That may sound kind of silly to some people and maybe even immature. I don't care. I exist within a fucking body that literally is so intelligent that when I scrape myself, it starts healing itself. And you know how that happens? It's largely through the subconscious. When you scrape yourself and get a cut, your subconscious instructs your body on what to do. You really don't think that there's a mental process behind your body's intelligence? Get fucking real. Again, I'm just going to plaster this on the screen one last time for you to see. The human body has one ability not possessed by any machine, the ability to repair itself. So let's just go over this statistic one more time, guys, because it's really crucial, and I'll see if I can find it. For some reason, I have a difficult time finding this passage, or this page. It's like it gets stuck or something. Here we go. Bottom right here. And adding insult to injury, the U.S. Public Health Department said in 1976 that only 1.5% of all Americans were actually healthy. The let me see if I can get that on the screen. The National Cancer Institute tells us that 80% of all cancer arises out of the air we breathe, the food we eat, and the water we drink. Jesus Christ. And the quality of air, food, and water that you put into your system dictates how your body regenerates itself every 3.5 years. So based on those three pillars, water, air, and food, if you address those and augment, uplift, and change the quality of them, you can drastically improve the quality of your life. Imagine that. You can also dictate the regeneration or shedding process that happens within your physiology as your stomach lining and your cells regenerate and go through, self-consumption, all this stuff. It's incredible. We are a remarkably gifted creature. We have all of this, and it's just incredible, you guys. Excuse me. So I'm going to wrap this one up. I love you all, and may peace be with you.